All right, everyone, welcome to the Jolly Inn.
At the Jolly Inn, Christmas time is the busiest time of year. But for Emily Reith,
Holly, this is it. I think it's gonna be my year.
it's go time. But this holiday season, something's different.
I happen to be an excellent baker.
You're Nick Saint. You own the Jolly Inn.
You own the inn and you're competing? Smells like a bit of nepotism if you ask me.
Hey, listen, I play fair. I can own multiple inns and still be a good baker.
We'll see about that, Mr. Saint.
This Christmas, Opal 99 presents a love story
You're quite the chatterbox.
in association with Galaxy of Film.
So, tell me about Nick.
Holly, we just met. Yes, he smells nice and he's a bachelor and he's an amazing baker, but I bet Nick isn't even thinking about me.
Bro, I'm telling you, she's perfect.
Dude, that's awesome. But come on, are you sure you're ready? I mean, you're about to be super busy with work.
Will Nick win the gingerbread baking competition? Or will he win Emily's heart?
Brave.
Yeah,
Very
we're excited.
brave. Very brave.
We want to see more
Alright,
from
we
you.
want to see some of the first.
Oh.
Find out this December in A December Christmas.
You're listening to Galaxy of Film. All right, and welcome back to the Brain-Ups of Galaxy of Film. I'm, of course, your host, Max, and this week, stepping up into the co-host role is none other than the autograph king himself, Shamim. How are you doing, bud?
Good. Very good. So
Nice.
far, the film is trucking along. Scott just finished the narration on, I believe it was last Tuesday. So
Okay.
then he had his, he hated his mic.
Mhm.
So he said that why not just have me go in a professional studio and record the narration myself. So that's what he did from 3:50 till about 7 o'clock, and now
wow.
the narration is completed. And the film is going to be, hopefully Scott's going to be doing his distribution networking skills. He's going to be showing it off to he says he has connections to Netflix, to Hulu. His plan is just trying to get I think Randy knows this. He basically is trying to get distribution right now for people who want to actually help us do the PR stuff. So right now he's actually talking to he's actually getting a new trailer, 4-minute trailer coming pretty soon actually. He's going to be adding new scenes
Nice, dude.
when we interviewed RJ, and then so we are looking at a next year, February, March time period next year. So
Okay.
it's doing very well actually. So Scott I wish Scott would pick it up more quickly because it's been 2 years since we started this and actually the idea was in 2022 of July. We actually start doing stuff in February of 2023, and then we finished January of this year.
Yeah, I remember.
So
yeah, dude.
now I just wish Scott, we're not tinkering with the special edition. I hope he sticks to, he always trying to figure out something better. He just wanted to make the best film he can versus what his other films he did to be better. Yeah.
Oh
So
boy,
now,
dude. We can't wait for it, honestly. Everyone here
Yeah,
at Galaxy of
it's-
Films excited for the Autograph King.
yeah.
And of course, you guys will hear more information about that film coming up as we get closer and closer to its release date, dude.
Which is
Very
next
proud of you.
year.
Yeah.
The film rough cut will be completed January of next year. the first of next year.
Nice.
So we have. So I hope I made the right decision of directing choice. We'll see. But
we
anyway,
will see indeed, man. We will see indeed. But thankfully,
Randy's
oh, go ahead. Go
and
ahead.
then Randy's super excited for the film as well.
Mhm.
He actually, yeah, Randy actually invited as well to let you know if you're still in Portland by then, then you can come.
I'm not going anywhere.
No,
No,
he's
I'm
now
really excited. I'm really excited for it. Looking
yeah,
forward.
now he's retired in Portland. That's his retirement, Portland rather. It's
Nice.
raining buckets right now. Amazing.
Nice,
It's like
man.
it's like the natural weather over here, right, Randy? Rain in the next, snow in the next, and then
Oh, that's
summer.
why I moved here, because I used to live in the desert. I much
Yeah.
prefer the rain. It's a lot greener.
Well, there you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
Love
And
it.
Shanif, thankfully, we aren't alone this week, as you just mentioned. First up, I want to go ahead and introduce our first guest for this week. We got our Uncle Brian coming back around. It's been a couple weeks since we talked about some family movies of Megalopolis and Lost in Translation. Come back
That's right.
around for something a bit more festive, thankfully. How are you doing, Uncle Brian?
Yeah, I'm doing a little great. I'm doing a little great. I'm doing great, Max. Thank you so much for having me back on. Yeah, we talked about the family affair, the Coppola films a couple weeks ago. And that got me in the mood to talk about some Christmas movies, I guess. I don't know. Definitely propelled me into the holiday spirit for sure. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to be back on. It's always a good time to come on and chat with all of you here at Galaxy of Film about some movies. And today it's a really good one. It goes back to my childhood. I got a chance to rewatch this before coming on to talk about it tonight, so it fired up all the nostalgia in my heart. So yeah, definitely looking forward to talk about this week's film with you guys.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And a little bit of a reveal for you guys, both the film that we're talking about this week and our other guest star we have too. We are, of course, discussing Jingle All the Way, and we've got none other than Randy Kornfield joining us, who wrote the film. How are you doing? And welcome to Galaxy of Film.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm excited to be in with you guys.
Yeah, it's great to get you on here. We've been talking about doing this one for a while, which I know it sounds like, every other week I'm saying that, but Brian, like you were giving me crap about a few weeks ago with Megalopolis. Things take time. We've been churning this episode up in the tank for a minute now. So thank you for your patience, Randy. I'm glad to get you on here for this one.
Hey, no worries.
To get us in the
I would have
Christmas
thought
spirit.
I'd be on ahead of Megalopolis, but that's okay.
You should have been, Randy. This is not
it's just
any slide against you for
left.
sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Only the best here, Galaxy of Film.
Yes, the best. The best is yet to come.
Yeah, I know that's right, buddy. But Randy, so you wrote this film, obviously. Jingle All the Way. This is an instant classic for a lot of people who are in a lot of different fandoms, both in like Terminator, Star Wars, of course, and just to enjoy a solid Christmas flick in general. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the process of writing this movie, if you don't mind. Like, where did the inspiration come from to do all this thing?
I had been something of a struggling screenwriter at the time.
Okay.
I'd written a couple of low-budget films, a Roger Corman film that was pretty sleazy, I'm proud to say. And then I had the idea because I was working at Fox at the time as a story analyst, which is my main career, I guess you would say. I write at the same time. So I came up with the idea because my oldest son was into Power Rangers at the time, which was the big thing. And the whole family was, like everyone else, trying to hunt them down and for Christmas. And that was obviously before Amazon and before cell phones, maybe, at least for me.
Close, yeah.
So the concept, then it hit me, I wanted... I know that kids love to see movies where adults are put through the ringer and made to act cartoonish and look silly. Kids love that stuff. And, I'm a fan of physical comedy as well as, more sophisticated comedy. But so I came up with the idea. I had a friend who was working at Nickelodeon at the time, and we partnered up to pitch the idea initially before I'd written it, and had a couple of pitch meetings just to test the water. Tell me if I'm getting too detailed, but
Oh no, by all means, keep going. I'm loving it.
so one of the people we pitched it to was Daniel Stern
Okay.
from Home Alone, who had started to direct comedies
Mm-hmm.
and had a deal at Fox. So we went in to meet him, and he was lukewarm on the idea. And it's a pretty simple, high concept idea, so it was easy to pitch. But oddly enough, his response was, "Can it be about Hanukkah?"
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And I said, that would be kind of a stretch and a little difficult.
Sure.
And, not a broad audience for that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled back and decided to write the script on spec. If you know what that is, I'm writing it in hopes of selling it.
Yeah.
When it's finished. Okay. So that's what I did while still reading and working on Fox films.
Okay.
Among them was Speed and a bunch of other things that I
Oh,
worked on
sweet.
back in the day. Yeah, that's a whole other discussion about the movies I've worked on over the years as a story analyst. But anyway, finished the script, got it to a manager who wanted to be a producer. His name's in the credits, but I won't name him anyway.
I've been there before. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, because it didn't end well there. He was going to go out, and in those days bidding wars were very common.
Okay.
So the dream was to get into a bidding war, so the price goes up,
Sure.
if somebody wants it. And I decided to put a pseudonym on the script because too many people at other studios, namely other story analysts, know my name. And I didn't want it to color their analysis and their opinion of the script, positively or negatively, actually. Because there's a lot of people that might say, well, I'm not giving him a break. I didn't get a break. That kind of
right.
You never know what you're going to run into out there. You wouldn't be surprised if I told you there's a lot of bitter people out there in Hollywood.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Anyway, so the script came through, went all over to a bunch of studios at the same time. The script came through Fox, and I knew it was in there and kept my mouth shut the whole time. Someone else read it, covered it, recommended it. And initially, it didn't come in initially to, well, actually it did. It came into Chris Columbus's company as well as Fox. He submitted it to Fox.
Okay.
And the head of the studio at the time said, I don't think so. Initially passed on it. But then he left and his replacement jumped on it. And that's when they ended up buying it.
What year was that? Like what time frame? Just so we have a
it's probably 94, 95.
Okay, it's not too long before
it didn't
production.
Take that long once it was bought to get rolling.
Okay, sweet.
With Columbus behind it, and he's the sort of the perfect company because he's, he likes those kinds of movies and he's a big Christmas guy.
Sure.
He didn't, anyway. It wasn't until after negotiations closed that I revealed who I was to the people I work with.
It was a little Wizard of Oz moment. Okay.
Yeah, because my feeling was that they would beat me up on the deal if they knew who I was.
Okay.
Ironically, one of the executive in charge said, "Oh, I wouldn't have beat you up so bad if I knew it was you." But I didn't believe a word she said. But it turned out it was great. It was a huge, reward. It's like hitting the lottery. I mean, it's not that kind of money, but it's selling a script in Hollywood, let alone getting one made, is a huge deal. The odds are tremendous. They're really against you. So that was all very exciting. And I didn't quit the job right away, which you shouldn't do when you win the lottery anyway, unless it's millions of dollars. So kept working there. I kind of monitored how it was being developed. And I did the initial rewrite or two. Columbus's mother at the time was gravely ill, so he decided not to direct, which is disappointing to me, actually.
Mm.
Because he's pretty good, and I think better than Brian Levant. But Levant's a nice guy. It worked out okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then they did a rewrite, and Chris did a rewrite, which they ended up dropping. They did another rewrite. Anyway, it's pretty much my script as it turns out.
I gotcha.
And then during that process, because I always envisioned somebody like Steve Martin at the time. Yeah. Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, sort of an everyman.
Sure.
Never imagined Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he hadn't really done that many comedies. But the story goes that he wanted to do another comedy like Twins, which was a big hit. And a secretary at his agency read the script and bumped it up, I guess, and he eventually read it and he jumped in.
Nice.
That was obviously a huge shot in the arm for the project, and got the green light immediately. Yeah.
Oh man.
So
Well,
yeah,
we'll kind of dive a bit more into some production details real quick too. But I will just say real quick, you mentioned Brian. We don't get a chance to talk about Levant much on this podcast. I don't think we ever have, other than just quick passing. Looking back on some of his filmography though, man, I love it. Like, are we there yet? That's a classic from my generation of Ice Cube, of course, the Flintstones movie. I don't know why so many people dog in that movie. I love the Flintstones film. It's great, Brian. Solid. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
all that stuff. Beethoven. I loved Beethoven as a kid. So that
was a big hit. Yeah.
It seemed like it seemed like you would have been a good director. Obviously, Chris Columbus would have been great to helmet. This was just a couple years after Home Alone, right? So that would have been quite the Christmas boon there. But yeah, I think Brian Levant was a good fit here for this film for sure.
Yeah, I agree in the long run. Yeah.
Let's before we even start diving down into all of Jingle All the Way, of course, for this film, we will go over stream of the week. We will go over break and all that stuff like we usually do the weekly here. But I have a couple announcements for our listeners, for those that do listen weekly and don't just hit save later and come back after a few weeks. All those people out there that want to tune in every Thursday morning. Shout out to you, Harold. I know you still listen to these on your walks. Dude. Brian, we were just talking about this before we started recording. The Galaxy of Film Showcase is coming right up, and it is full steam ahead next week, guys. Next Monday, this upcoming Monday at this point, the 16th, we'll be doing our next Galaxy of Film Showcase. We're doing a digital version for those who cannot make it to the Regal at North Hills in Raleigh, North Carolina. So stay tuned for that. Links down below, of course. We'll be premiering a bunch of our new films, including a little film that's dropping the next day as well on December 17th, and that is called Femme Fatale. It is my next film directing. Naima wrote and produced this film again, too. We've been teaming up back and forth all this year. I'm very excited for you guys to see that little Mafia film. And also be sure to check out our Patreon if you guys haven't already for exclusive content. You got some stuff coming out early for you guys. For example, for the showcase, they had first dibs on the tickets when they went live. So go ahead and check out the Patreon too, guys. $3 a month for that, for all of our exclusive and early content going on. But yeah, like I said, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little break. This week, we're going to go over our stream of the week, brought to you by none other than Brandon. We'll be right back, guys.
Oh, hi, Mark.
You're listening to the 10 o'clock hour on 95.8 The Wolf. I'm your host, Zippy Ziedler, and this is Getting Real with Zippy. Regular listeners might know that this has been a rough couple of weeks for me. So bear with me as I pick up the pieces of my broken marriage and blast your ears with some sick-ass tunes. But before we get to those sick tunes, I want to hear from one of you guys, so we're going to take a call.
Hey, man, this is Chaz. First-time caller, long-time listener. I used to love listening to Getting Real, but lately you've been half-assing this shit, man. What gives, bro? I know your wife is sleeping with someone else, but that doesn't mean you need to drag the whole show down with your marriage. For weeks, you've been talking over songs, skipping over our favorite segments of the show. You haven't had any interesting guests on in months. I think I speak for everyone when I say we want the old Zippy back.
Thank you so much for calling in, Chaz.
Hey guys, it's Tyler from the Movies in Space talk show. I wanted to drop by today to officially tell you about our new Patreon.
Patreon? Paid content?
Yes, Galaxy of Film is officially like your former high school classmates, where we're charging you a couple of bucks to see the goods. Starting out on our Patreon for just $3 a month, you'll have exclusive new access to our new podcast series, Recent Views. This new series will be monthly and cover all of our opinions that didn't make it onto the main show, featuring your favorite Galaxy of Film members. We'll also be posting behind-the-scenes content as the productions go on, and of course, early access links to all of our future short films. We've got tiers coming up in the future for future merch as well. Check out patreon.com/galaxyoffilm or DM me personally for feet pics.
What's going on, Galaxy of Film? This is editor Brandon Messina, and we're taking a short break from the main podcast to talk about my stream of the week. As you can see, I got the Christmas tree up here. It's the holiday season, everybody. All the festivities all around, am I right? Anyways, back to the stream of the week. Now, I really like musicals, whether that be from a Broadway show or in a cinematic form. Love musicals. And so for this stream of the week, I watched Wicked Part 1, directed by John M. Chu. Now, I have not seen the original Broadway show or throughout its many tours that it has had over the years, but I do know enough from the show to piece together what the story from the movie is all about. Now, Wicked tells the story in the land of Oz, and this is events before the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, where we see Dorothy, Tin Man, Scarecrow, all those characters. This is a story where we follow a green-skinned woman named Elphaba as she runs into another woman named Galinda, and they are complete opposite women through their personalities and how they carry themselves. But as the film goes on, we start to see how they form a friendship with one another, and we get to start to see the origins of how Elphaba becomes the Wicked Witch of the West, as we come to know her as, and Glinda as the Good Witch of the South, for all those Wizard of Oz fans. Sorry, but yeah, getting on to the movie, just the sheer scale and size from a production standpoint immediately deserves an Oscar nomination, in my opinion, because wow, I was blown away by how much of a realistic approach they wanted to take the location and the settings and all that. So I'm really glad that they decided to go with that approach rather than having the green screen around the human cast. So that's a plus. Another thing is, while I thought the cast did a great job with the portrayals that they did, I thought Ariana Grande really stood out, and she really shines as Galinda. And through her performance, I could tell she was like born and ready to play this character. And through my knowledge, I believe she is a musical nerd. So I'm sure her portraying Galinda was like a dream of hers to have. So she nailed it on my part. She really was like the best part about this film, I believe. And then, yeah, of course, this being a movie musical, like, of course the music is just going to be catchy and boppy after you watch the film. You just have the soundtrack playing on in the background. Of course, that was me after watching this film. But yeah, the music was great, the cast was great, and those last 15 minutes of the film, generally, and I'm not maybe exaggerating at this at all, those last 15 minutes might be some of the greatest 15 minutes I've ever seen from a movie in a long time. Maybe since Avengers Endgame, really. It's that good. But yeah, overall, I was really not expecting to like this movie when I first heard about it, or even going into the theater. But after watching it, this is a clear Oscar contender, and I am really excited to see what happens in the second part when it comes out next year. All right, this has been your Stream of the Weekend, ladies and gentlemen, and let us go back to the main podcast.
All right, guys, and we're back from our break. Let's go ahead and dive into Jingle All the Way. This film came out in 96. And this film is basically about a father who is kind of just the ultimate mess up. He's not paying attention to his family very much, kind of letting his wife and his son down. And he has a chance to make it up to his son and get him this action figure he really, really wants from his favorite TV show and comic series, Turbo Man. And Schwarzenegger goes on this insane quest to go ahead and get this action figure for his son for Christmas in time, because it is Christmas Eve, of course. And if you've been Christmas Eve shopping for Christmas, you should know it's hell. So this movie's all about making like hell fun in a sense, you know, where we're seeing this father do his absolute best and tries his damnedest to go ahead and make magic happen, basically, and get this impossible action figure for his son, and just jumps through all sorts of hoops. Him and the mailman are getting into it back and forth. They're crashing a radio show that's giving one out to a caller. They're crashing malls back and forth. There's an undercover like Secret Santa like ring going on here too. We got Jim Belushi thrown into this, which is pretty fun. Yeah, and it all has this great climactic build up for it, where there is a Christmas parade taking place in the city, and Schwarzenegger ends up crashing the Christmas parade as Turbo Man for his son, and is able to kind of have the whole, you know, there's no Santa, Dad. Like, what are you talking about? Well, I've been Santa. They pull that trope into this with Turbo Man, which is really fun and really awesome and very, very heartwarming. Now, I'm really curious, Brian, because you mentioned this was like an early watch for you. You really enjoyed the hell out of this, it sounds like. It sounds like it's one of your classics, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
When was the first time you watched this movie?
Yeah, so this movie, it came out in 1996. I would have been 15 years old, and I remember there was like a big like buzz around it. You know, there was a pretty heavy marketing campaign, if I recall, you know, at least recall to 15-year-old me. It seemed like a pretty big deal. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was, you know, by all accounts, one of the biggest movie stars on the planet, right? Just a few years after Terminator 2. You had True Lies, I think, was out just a couple years before that. And he'd done some other family stuff, right? Kindergarten Cop, one of the all-time greats. So you had him in there. You had Sinbad, who is at like the height of Sinbad's powers, right? I think like the Sinbad show had just ended maybe like a year or two before that. So you had that. You had all, you know, these big kind of larger than life characters. It was a big like kind of like holiday event film kind of a thing. So yeah, so I definitely remember going to the movie theater to see it kind of there when it was out, you know, in its initial run, and then picked it up. I had a VHS copy, so would definitely, you know, throw it on kind of every holiday, you know, kind of throughout the rest of my childhood for sure. And then, you know, kind of got away from it. I hadn't watched it in quite a while when you, you know, messaged me about coming on tonight, and I was like, oh, I've been meaning to watch that again. We actually were thinking about covering it for the other podcast, so it'd come up in conversation, so it'd been fresh on my mind. So I was like, yes, I get to go back and rewatch it. And then rewatching it, we'll talk a little bit about kind of our takeaways, but it was wild going back to remember you know, what it was like watching it as a kid, and then like how like times are still the same from 1996 to 2024, but we'll get into kind of that piece of it here in a minute. So
I got you. That's awesome to hear you saw this in theaters, dude. I was not conceived yet at that point, so I was not able to watch this.
You kids, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I was, yeah, like I said, I would have been 15 years old, so yeah, definitely caught this one at the movie theater in good old Ohio. So
I don't remember what year I watched this specifically or what age, but I do very vividly remember watching this back to back with Kindergarten Cop in my Oma's house. And she loves Kindergarten Cop. I don't know what it was about that movie that like struck to her with, because I don't think she's watched.
It's a banger.
Oh, I know it was a banger, dude.
She knows.
I don't think she's watched anything else Schwarzenegger related. You know, she couldn't tell me like a single line from Terminator.
She
other than, "I'll be
watched
back."
Predator, and then she watched Kindergarten Cop. Come on.
Maybe so. I'll have to ask her next time I see her. But yeah, well, she made me watch Kindergarten Cop, and then I don't remember if it would just happen to come on, but I think we went to Blockbuster. I do, and I think we rented Kindergarten Cop and then Jingle All the Way and watched them back to back. So yeah, like this one, like parts of it, like for whatever reason, like the back of my mind, like blend in with Kindergarten Cop. And then I know there's always been kind of the weird thing where people mistaken this movie a little bit for Last Action Hero because it's also Schwarzenegger and it's Last Action Hero, so you would assume action figure, whatever. So when people get those two confused, I always get this mixed up with Kindergarten Cop randomly for whatever reason. Like I always assume that we're in the mall going after that little kid for the ball, and the next thing you know, Schwarzenegger's got a bunch of kids on his legs. Like it's a weird chronological order in my head. But yeah, and like you said, Ryan, we'll get into it too. But rewatching this was an absolute blast, and definitely took away all the Kindergarten Cop stuff from this viewing, of course. Shameen, what about you? When was the first time you watched Jingle All the Way?
The first time I saw Jingle All the Way, it was happened to be on my VHS copy when I was about 97, 76, about about 95. I was 3. No, 6. 96. I was 3. About 4 years old.
Okay.
Actually, no, wait, no, 90. I think it was on VHS by then, right, Randy? I think, yeah. So
I think so.
Yeah. So this is the copy I watched when I was growing up.
Nice.
And I enjoyed. I was just getting. I was huge. The year before that was the big kick on Toy Story. Big on Toy Story in 95 and 96. And I just really enjoyed seeing Schwarzenegger and Jake Lloyd, Schwarzenegger and Sinbad fighting over toys, and here is the weird copy that
TVX.
Something that I actually this is recently picked up too, like a few days ago. Actually, on November 22nd, I picked this up. I don't know how rare this even is. Anything, Randy? Is it just one of those dead formats that didn't sell anything?
Like I said, I don't even know what that format is.
I don't think DVX made it to Ohio, so I've never saw it before.
Never heard of it, man.
So it's basically
some European thing. I don't know.
It says it's with it's basically, it says like a IVFX. It's like you need to use a computer to watch it or something like that. It's like for the Mac or something. It's weird. And how
it's kind of like how Sony had movies made for PSP, the UMD disc. Remember those, Brian? Yeah.
There you go. I do remember those. Yeah.
I got Pulp Fiction on UMD. You want to watch that later?
Nice.
Yeah. So now that copy was very. When I saw it, I thought Jingle All the Way either must be really lucky to get a DVX release. I think it either must have been like before right before the DVD, right, Max? I think right before the DVD came out.
That sounds about right to me. Yep.
It could also just be a bootleg copy of something.
It might be a bootleg of Kindergarten Cop, actually. Here's
my DVD copy of my original DVD copy signed by Jake. Jake was very happy. Jake was very happy to see this instead of Star Wars at the time when I met him in 2015. He said, here's what Jake Lloyd said to me when I used to be Facebook friends with Jake Lloyd. I asked him his 3 favorite films of all time. Number 1, Jingle All the Way. Number 2, the Vengeance series. Number 3, the Muppets. And number 4, Phantom Menace.
Nice.
So yeah, he said he had one of the best times he's ever had working on a film, which was Jingle All the Way.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, so he was very happy to actually. Yeah, I talked. Yeah, that was like right before I got to meet him in April of 2015, and he basically gave me a bunch of free autographs. It's fun.
There you go.
And
Got
then
the hookup, man. Got the
yeah,
hookup.
and then Jake was very nice guy. He looked a lot from the photo I showed you, man. He actually, I think that was when he was, I think it was like 26, I believe, at the time. I think, yeah, 26. So it's when I saw him enter the world, he looked way different than I would have met him. It's interesting how to see when he came back, showed a photo with his mom. It didn't look like the same Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, let's not focus on all of that though, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Anyway,
I don't want
so
to focus
back-
too much
back to
on that
Jingle All the Way.
situation.
So-
But Randy, what is? I'm curious for you.
Yeah,
Man.
I don't look like he did that.
I'm curious for you, Randy, because like we hear a lot of the time with directors, producers, and writers who come on the show, when they had a chance to watch the movie for the first time, like a full cut of it. It's always super interesting. And some of them will sit there behind the scenes and get to see it across the entire process of it. They're almost numb, but sometimes they're blown away because the first time they're seeing it in its entirety is when they're at a screening or for a release for it. What was that like for you? What was the first time you got to watch your movie come to life for the first time? And what was it something you were expecting, like, as for the final cut, or what was that reaction for you?
I didn't see the final cut until the premiere.
Okay.
I wasn't in on, as a lot of writers will tell you, we're not in on all of the stages.
I gotcha.
So, I mean, I saw clips here and there, but not much.
Okay.
And I did go to the set when they, mostly when they were at Universal for the parade sequences.
Oh, that's cool.
I was on the
Okay.
back lot of Universal.
Okay.
In fact, a lot of it they shot a lot in Minneapolis, but the whole parade was done on the back lot of Universal. The same outdoor set that they did Back to the Future.
Oh, that's cool.
And even going back to It's a Wonderful Life.
Nice.
The same buildings. Yeah.
So probably the same for Back to the Future, like the Hill Valley Clock Tower area, like that town square. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the indoor sets, like the house, the indoor inside of his house and stuff like that. That was on the Fox lot on Soundstage.
I gotcha. Okay. And upon watching it for the first time, like, what was your initial reaction to it? Were you thrilled to see, everything come on the screen to how you liked? Was it something drastically different? What was that for you?
Nothing was drastically different. It was really close to the script.
Okay.
The exception was that after they bought it, they changed the third act a little.
Okay.
Columbus wanted this Christmas parade. The original climax of the movie I had taking place at the Turbo Man factory.
Oh.
Okay.
I had Howard, in desperation, going to the factory thinking there might be one left. And it happened to be outside of town. And he ends up battling this life-size Turbo Man.
Okay.
It's sort of robotic, and it was pretty wild. And it was a little darker than the finished film for that reason.
I gotcha.
But he decided they wanted this parade thing, so we rewrote it for that.
Okay.
And then I got my dad in as an extra in the parade route.
That's fun.
We hung out for quite a bit. Schwarzenegger was, just puffing away on his cigar most of the time. His favorite thing was after they would do a take, he would just go, "Very nice, very nice." But the movie. So I wasn't disappointed in any way. I mean, it came off pretty much how I envisioned it. I still had a little trouble adjusting to Schwarzenegger being the role because, like I said, I saw him as they never accounted for his Austrian accent or anything like that, and he was still named Howard.
I gotcha. It's funny at least. It works.
So, but I let that go a long time before that. So
sure,
Yeah.
sure, I gotcha.
But
Okay.
I felt very lucky to have it all happen on that kind of scale. So I wasn't thinking anything negatively or anything that they might have changed or tweaked.
Okay.
A lot of my lines are there. A lot of that, it came through pretty well unscathed
Okay.
from my original, which is, not many people can say, really.
Sure. Well, let me ask you guys this then. Personally, my favorite part of Jingle All the Way is the entire mall sequence where Howard's going to this toy store trying to get this figure. They're sold out, and then he finds another one where there's like the lottery system they're doing, which if you've been to a massive convention, lottery is always frustrating as hell. So now that I've matured a bit, I can definitely appreciate this system or this scene a lot more than before. But it reminds me so much of Blues Brothers, of all the chaos going on in the mall, of that whole chase sequence with the police. But just a bit more compact in the one store. We're seeing people get like the guy's opening up the keys gets literally trampled, a foot stamp across his face. People are getting pushed over, displays destroyed. Even like the sabotaging with the mailman with the RC car towards the little end half of that scene. It's all just fun, like chaotic, like holiday goodness. I feel like it is the visual representation of what you imagine a Black Friday sale to look like, or at least a few years ago before they kind of all went digital as well. It's, in my opinion, the most iconic scene in that entire movie. I love the hell out of that sequence. Brian, do you have a favorite scene out of Jingle All the Way?
Yeah, for sure. I do love kind of that franticness of like the mall scene and just the actual like chase and pursuit of that. I remember really loving that part as a kid, and of course obviously the parade is really fun. Watching it back again as an adult, as a 15-year-old Brian didn't understand the comedic genius that was Phil Hartman. So seeing him acting, just how funny he is in it, all these little lines, his mannerisms, of just what like a genius he was. Sad to have lost him.
Very droll.
Too young, but that was amazing watching it back as an adult. I was like, holy cow, because that stuff doesn't even like register with you when you're 15 years old, right? You remember the fun, like the crazy bits there. And I loved rewatching it again for the parade scene, because you see all of the stuff at the parade, right? And there's like, it's all of the stuff that we're still like getting, right? There's like a Sonic the Hedgehog, and there's like the Rock'em Sock'em robots that were just featured in that Red One, and all of this stuff that is still relevant today. So I was like, that's so wild that stuff from 30 years almost is all still
great that they got all those iconic toys together for that parade and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah. And then when you're seeing like the Marvel characters in Jamie's room too, Brian, which is like this massive Captain America spread right behind his bed.
Yeah,
all
for
that.
sure. Yeah, all that stuff was good. And then just the nostalgia of it, because I remember you'd mentioned, Randy, you were basing this kind of off of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So I was a kid during that, so I remember how popular that was. And then obviously you have kind of the history repeating itself with the Cabbage Patch Dolls, and then the Tickle Me Elmo, which was the same year as is going on like alongside of the film being out in theaters. So it's kind of wild, art reflecting life or vice versa there, however you want to think of it. So I remember all that stuff, because I remember Black Friday sales when it was that, where people would line up and trample each other to get the best deals and stuff like that. That's like locked away in a time capsule now. We don't experience stuff like that, or at least not to this level really anymore. Stuff like that. So it was a fun nostalgic trip. But yeah, I definitely just as an adult, Phil Hartman, and like I said, just kind of the how the cycle of all these things that were popular in the mid 90s are all coming back now again. So
everything except Gumby, dude. Where the hell is my Gumby remakes? Come on.
Gumby, Gumby and Pokey, let's go.
I love Gumby and Pokey. So great, so great.
I'm sure somebody's got the rights tied up, but they can't get it going. Yeah.
One of these days, man. I remember like 2005, there was a Gumby Game Boy Advance game, and I really thought that was gonna be the start of it all again. Nope. unfortunately.
I guess not. Yeah.
Randy, I'm curious for you specifically, man. Do you have a favorite scene when you watch the movie, and was there a favorite scene of yours to write as well that's different, perhaps?
There's a little gag in there that is one of my favorite visuals. It's just this little moment in the parade when those little guys are dressed up as Christmas gifts, boxes, and one of them gets knocked over, and then the other ones crowd around him to see if he's okay. That hit me. It was very funny. It was a great addition in there. Yeah. But I don't know if I have. I think Phil Hartman for me really brought that character to life in particular. So I love all of his scenes. And I remember talking to him when we had the read through prior to them shooting. And he was asking me questions about the character and stuff. And I just said, no, he's just a smarmy, obnoxious. And he goes, oh, well, I am the king of smarm, so I think I can handle it. He was very funny. He's a nice guy.
That's awesome, dude. He's so well written too. Like you mentioned, Brian, a lot of his stuff just goes over your head. It's like a lot of kids' cartoons where I never understood why my mom enjoyed certain episodes of SpongeBob until I was older. One of those kind of things.
Yep. Right.
That's right.
I think there's something for everybody in there, for every age. Hopefully,
absolutely.
That still holds.
Yeah, dude. I think that's what makes this so like timeless for being such a silly plot as well. Like, you would assume that Christmas chaos, Christmas mayhem, relatable plot, like sure, it'll be remembered for that, but it's something that's still like thoroughly enjoyable and doesn't feel like gimmicky. Like I can watch Jingle All the Way outside of Christmas time and still have a blast with it because it's like a genuine like a rush throughout the whole experience. We're seeing this guy just stumbling around like an idiot trying to do what's best for his family. And it leans into
and there's a lot of cartoonishness in it. I like too
that as well. Yeah, especially like when
we see Brian was obviously a big cartoon fan.
Absolutely
for
sure.
It was his idea. I thought at the time it went too far, but in retrospect, it worked pretty well. When Robert Conrad shakes the bomb and it blows up in his face, and then he's got his, the blackened face with the hair, which is, a Roadrunner cartoon, basically.
Right.
I've come to appreciate that more because a lot of it's very cartoonish. It should be.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Randy. I don't know if that's how you envisioned it when you were writing it, but you kind of go out and it's following Sinbad up the road, and then you hear the explosion. I'm like, wow, that got really dark.
Yeah.
And then you get that moment of levity. What I love about it in terms of a holiday film or just a film overall is because it does all this stuff and it's very kind of wacky and lighthearted at the end of all of it, but it does kind of capture that like essence of the holidays and all of us, like even like the most like organized, put together person on the planet. As the clock ticks down to December 25th, we all start getting frazzled and all the things we forgot to do, right? So it captures those emotions really well, too, besides being just this, kind of this family comedy kind of thing.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Shamim, do you have any favorite moments or scenes from Jingle All the Way when you look back on this movie?
Since I watched it, like, I would say most recently was like few months ago. I actually still enjoy how that first toy store at the St. Paul downtown, it always dawned to me when it was actually released at Walmart how difficult it really was to get the actual figure itself. It's identical to the film or pretty hard to... Do you remember, Brian, at all? Trying to get the figure in Walmart?
No, I don't remember that for sure. I definitely didn't have the figure, so I don't remember any of that stuff. But I do, just remember, just kind of in the, the ether of that, like people going nuts, like holiday shopping, and how big of a deal like Black Friday was, kind of like from like the mid '90s, kind of on. So that part definitely resonates with me, but I don't really
partly-
remember anything in particular about the figure there.
It's partly because they didn't anticipate that a demand. The studio wasn't, that hot on the film in itself.
Sure.
So they only made so many, and they didn't make enough. And by the time they caught on, it was almost too late.
Yeah, so that's the
But
same.
did you know that there's a Jingle All the Way or Turbo Man vehicle?
Oh, is there?
Ooh.
But basically, all they did was take these generic cars and slap Jingle All the Way on the side or something like that.
Okay.
They were
see it. Look at a
sold
picture of this.
and maybe given away at like Shell gas stations. For sure.
Okay.
I have a couple of those. But yeah, nobody knows about those. But
So actually, it's actually how, as the in joke for Toy Story 2, how retailers did not supply demand for the actual Buzz Lightyear when it originally first came out. That seemed like the same way for the Turbo Man when that came out a year later.
Oh, Randy, is it kind of like a black, like almost Matchbox car kind of thing?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, and then, like the wheels pop out like the DeLorean almost when Back to the Future
Something like
2.
that.
That's
It's
interesting.
been a long time. I think of the one or two I have, I never opened.
I gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I think they were some generic thing that some warehouse had, and they decided to just, slap a label on them. They weren't designed or made from the movie. So.
That's funny.
Car
Yeah, they
has
have
nothing to do with film. Yeah.
they got a race car track number on it too, 76. There you go.
Yeah, 76. Yeah. So it's from the
That's
76
awesome.
station. Yeah. Okay.
That's
Cool.
awesome, dude. Oh,
Wow,
Brian, do you have any other memories or comments you want to throw about Jingle All the Way? I feel like this one's just like there's so much to say, but there's not about the same time, just because it's so solid of a movie. Like
Yeah. No,
That's
it's
crazy.
it's just a fun time. Like I said, I hadn't watched it for several years, having come, kind of up with it as like a teenager and watching it, kind of for several years in a row. And I hadn't revisited it in a while, but it was really fun to go back to revisit for the nostalgia, just, personally, but then just, kind of also the nostalgia around the place and time that it occupied. There kind of had this very much this mid-90s feel. So if you want to kind of know what Christmas was like in the mid-90s, you can watch this and you get the idea of it for sure. So to that end, that's really fun. And then just all the performances are really good. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger is kind of this everyman sort of figure. Arnold Schwarzenegger is definitely not that everyman, but that, and you just have the kind of the comedic, like, over the topness of Sinbad, and all the actors, even little Jake Lloyd there, Anakin Skywalker, there is really good, and does a really good job of capturing the moments. He has one of like the funniest lines in the film is when Howard calls home and he's talking to him, and he's like, mom's petting Ted or whatever the neighbor's name was. I was like, oh my god, that's so funny. And Jake Lloyd delivers it like a champion. So I mean, it holds up. It's still really fun for families, and kids I think would still probably really be drawn to it and kind of understand the big, like, larger than lifeness of the Turbo Man and things. So
yeah, dude. We didn't talk too much about Jake Lloyd, but dude, great performance in this. I get it why he was approached for Phantom Menace after watching Jingle All the Way. He's awesome in this movie. He's very lovable in this. And I don't want to dive too much down the debate of Jake Lloyd or not, if we like him or not in Phantom Menace. Dude, here at Galaxy of Film, we support Jake Lloyd. We love the Phantom Menace. All right, now we always will. But yeah, man, Jingle All the Way, probably his best movie. Probably, like, it's hard to have something over Anakin Skywalker, but dude, he's so damn lovable in this movie. He really is.
Yeah.
I just feel for him when he's going off on his dad on the phone when Arnold's in that payphone, and God, dude, when he hangs up, and then right away we cut to the mom right behind him, like, damn you, Howard. Hits, dude.
Yeah,
It's
there's
very
a lot of
solid.
heart.
Yeah, truly,
Damn, Howard.
truly.
Well, some of that stems from what the original idea came from, and it was me just trying to make my kid happy.
Sure.
And the kid doesn't know, when they're that age. Well, in the movie he does, but my kid in real life didn't know. If he didn't get it, he wasn't going to, be in analysis for the next 30 years. Or anything. But I would be as a father because, you disappoint him.
Sure.
And that's the last thing you want to happen. So that's where all that sort of heart comes from. And movies need that, especially Christmas movies.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Goodness. Shamim, do you have any scenes or final comments you have for Jingle on the Way specifically?
Yeah, I do like the scene where, let me think. I'm surprised how many of the cartoon characters you actually get the permission to use in the parade. We see like Madeline, we see Snoopy, it's like a pretty good amount of cartoon characters from what you saw, Brian. And then there's I did like the scene. I see Burger as the chain smoking booster. That's an interesting take. And then the Dementors seem like a play on a Tormentor, like the Terminator gag for the Terminator fans. And then there's the scene where Jake Lloyd was climbing. That must have been really high up for Jake Lloyd for climbing that Christmas tree.
Yeah, imagine, dude. Jeez.
Going all the way
I don't
up
think
there.
they didn't really put it.
Dude, what? He wasn't dangling like 100 feet in
made
the air, man? That's
And then I'm actually Facebook friends
I
with.
don't think he did. I think there's laws about that.
And then
It's just movie magic, Max.
And then I actually am friends with the other kid, Johnny, EJ Panina. I'm actually friends with him. He's like a really cool guy. He's the Phil Hartman's son. He's a pretty cool guy to talk to, actually.
Okay.
And then I'm surprised that Tom Hanks. I'm surprised that Tom Hanks let his wife play Arnold Schwarzenegger's wife. That's an interesting intake on that part. It's like, I don't know how, but
why do you think that she would need his permission? Why do you think that she would need his permission?
Well, I don't know, but it's interesting to find out that Rita Wilson and then like all the casting choices are very interesting choices for Columbus, which I enjoyed how all the behind the scenes of how the movie's actually made. It's like it seemed like a very tight schedule for that film to be shot in like that amount of time. And most of all, I really enjoyed you, Randy, for writing it. Without you, there was no Jingle All the Way, right, Randy?
Yeah, true.
Correct?
Well, yeah, it's got to start somewhere. The script is the foundation for all movies.
Yeah.
You can't build on nothing. Yeah. But thank you,
Just
Shamim.
like-
I really appreciate
just like
you
Star
putting me in
Wars.
touch with all these guys.
Just like Star Wars. And without Lucas, there was no Star Wars. Just like, that's interesting. And then 28 years later, it still holds up. And it's so popular that Funko got involved. That's
true, yeah.
very cool. In 2021, they re-released the Turbo Man smaller. That when I showed you that, Randy, was that pretty good reproduction of the
They
action
look pretty
figure
good.
itself?
Those were also only available at Walmart, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It was imagine Arnold in 2021's Walmart getting a hands on a Funko. That'd be funny. Seeing him try to hunt down that Funko Pop.
Oh
Seeing
man.
how-
No
I think Arnold has a
Disney
guy. I think Arnold has a guy for that. So.
Exactly. I don't think he's out shopping too much.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But Randy, do you have any final comments you have for Jingle All the Way for this
film?
I'm just really pleased that all these years later, it still holds up, but also that mostly that there are so many fans that grew up on it and are introducing it to their kids, to a new generation.
Sure.
And every time about this time of year, I get contacted by all kinds of people, and it's very pleasing.
After all these years later, Randy is.
I'm very proud of it. Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, Randy has some good, really exciting news coming up for him next year, right, Randy?
Oh well, Shamim has put me in touch with Jacob, I don't know, what do you call him, the agent who books conventions, fan conventions.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Okay.
So I've got a couple booked next year, and more to come, I think, and that'll be a fun experience. So I can actually meet these fans. Yeah.
Congratulations! Hell yeah, man! I love it.
Time to sign those Turbo Mans.
Oh boy!
No, I'm holding on to those.
Well, Brian, I think it's going to go and wrap it up for this week, dude. Like I said, we've been talking about doing this one for quite some time. It's always good talking about some other movies, especially when we always find a way to make it a little bit Star Wars related. We always find a way.
That's right. Yeah, there's always some sort of tie to Star Wars for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this has been quite a long time coming, but definitely excited to do that. I think this is the first holiday film I've ever talked about with you, Max. So that's good.
Really?
So that's been fun. I think so.
4 years deep, and we haven't had you talk a holiday movie with us, dude.
I don't think so. I don't remember. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm doubly honored, boys.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Randy, it's been an absolute pleasure getting you on here to talk about this classic film.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah.
Of course. Where can our listeners find you at your work? Where can they find Jingle All the Way as well? I know it's currently on Disney Plus if they haven't seen it for whatever reason. But where can they find you?
Me? They can look me on Facebook.
You cut out. Can you say it one more time for me, Randy? You cut out for a second.
But I don't want people knocking on my door. Did I freeze?
Yeah, you did. You mind repeating that? I'm sorry. You completely froze up after I asked that question.
They can look me up on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Sweet. There you go, guys. There you go. And Brian, where can our listeners find you and drink the movies, my good sir?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Max, for having me on. This is a great time coming on to talk about Jingle All the Way. Randy, it was a pleasure getting to talk with you a little bit here tonight. And thank you so much for bringing Jingle all the way to the world, for sure. If you want to catch up with me, you can find me on Instagram. It's at @astro_droid_. That's mostly Star Wars stuff, but I'm on there to talk about all sorts of things. Your favorite holiday movie, where to go and get a Turbo Man for myself, for my own collection. Let me know that. And if you want to follow along with my podcast, they are Drink the Movies and Drink the Video Games, wherever you are listening to this right now. So thank you so much.
Very nice. Very nice. And of course, links down below. Shamim, it's always good getting you on here, my good sir. It's been too long getting you on here to co-host. Where can the listeners find you? Because we already know the Autograph King's coming early next year. So where can they find you personally?
Well, we have a new. I launched a new Facebook group, which is called the Official Autograph King Group on Facebook. You can, and I have a TikTok, the Autograph King, and then I have, Facebook does have a Jingle All the Way appreciation group, which Randy's a part of. It's called what's that now? Jingle All the Way appreciation group, right, Randy? Is that what that group's called? Yeah. So for all your Jingle All the Way fans, that's where you can find Randy and talk Jingle All the Way in that group. It's like pretty big group, actually. Max, you should join that too while you're at it.
Okay.
It's fun. Anyway, you can find me on TikTok, The Autograph King. You can find me in my group, Galaxy of Film fan group. You can also find me in the Comic Book the Movie group, Remembering Blockbuster, Remembering Blue and Gold Blockbuster group. I'm like in in a little bit of every group, and that's pretty much where you can find me, and in Max's group again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know it. You know it. Of course, links down below, guys. That is going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week, talking Jingle All the Way. But don't worry, guys. We're still on the holiday season next week. We're talking Die Hard, the greatest Christmas film of all time. We're talking all those movies next week, so stay tuned, of course. We got you all covered here. And stay tuned for next week's Galaxy of Film Showcase #2, where we are showing and premiering a lot of new films, including my newest films, Dakari's newest film, Man of the House. We have some great stuff coming up, guys. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us an iTunes or Spotify review. It truly does help with the show much more than you can imagine. And we will talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.
That's a wrap.
Wow, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
Welcome back to Getting Real with Zippy. We've got a special announcement from the good folks over at Galaxy of Film. And now I know what you're all thinking. Who would have thought we'd see a day where Zippy sells out by doing promotions? I am living in my studio now after Denise took everything, even my goldfish. So I've got to make ends meet somehow, so here we are. Anyway, Galaxy of Film would like to announce that they're having their all-new showcase on December 16th over at the Regal Cinemas in North Hills, Raleigh, North Carolina. Head on over there for some laughs, some heart, and some great short films. Zippy out.
December 16th?